high income ETFs versus rental house, or rental house versus high income ETFs, episode 12.2. If you're joining for the first time, about a year ago, we sold this house, took the proceeds, put it into a Robinhood account, and invested in high income ETFs, specifically SPYI, QQQI, GIAX, MAGY, AIPI, and QDTE. Sounds like alphabet soup. So let's get going and see how we're doing. But before we get too far, subscribe, like the video, turn on notifications. And this is not financial advice, just me doing dumb stuff with our money. I like to look to see how the stock market is doing in general each week. I don't try to time the market, but I do try to pick smart times to add more money into the market. If you look here, you can see the 20-day moving average is right about where the price of the S&P 500 or the SPY is at right now. And it's right in the middle of the Bollinger Band, and there's a slow trend going up. It's the 20-day moving average. The red line is the 50-day moving average. I added that temporarily, but then I forgot to take it off. Something else to look at. And then the RSI is 53. So RSIs tell me the market is not overbought or oversold. It's right in the middle, moving along. My prediction is, unless there's something newsworthy to mess things up, that will keep trending up for the next week or two, keeping this steady pace. So this account I have, I started out with 70,000. It's currently at 89,406. It has popped up over 90,000 a few times and dipped back down. I'm using margin. I consider margin like a mortgage, basically. So total invested is 166,038. So if I cashed in the account today, sold everything and just gave up, I end up with 89,406 after I paid the margin loan off. Specifically, these are the ETFs that I own, the QDTE being the largest at 2,000. That was the first one I added. And the last one I've added is MAGY. I got 450 shares of that. And QDTE pays every Friday. MAGY pays every Monday. And the others are monthly payers: AIPI, GIAX, QQQI, and SPYI. These pay a nice distribution either weekly or monthly. Most of the monthly payers pay at the end of the month, so this time of the month we just getting weekly distributions. In the past week or so, we got $169 from MAGY, 408 from QDTE, and then Monday we have a pending 169 from MAGY again. And about once a month, I go and I buy some shares with those distributions. The last thing I did was the beginning of October. First time I sold something, I thinned out my QDTE and I distributed that over a few of the others, mainly MAGY, QQQI, and SPYI. I added some more MAGY the following day. This is a running tally of the monthly distributions I'm receiving. You see those three that we just talked about. And earlier in the month, we had these, and we pay interest on the margin. This month was $337. That shocks people or scares people, but I'm using $77,000 in margin. I'm earning an extra about $1,500 a month. If you had a business and you had $1,500 in income and $337 in expenses, that would be probably considered pretty good. That's the way I look at it. Or you look at it as a rental property. If you were collecting $1,500 in rent and your mortgage was $337, that'd be pretty good positive cash flow. Some people worry about margin calls and all this other stuff. My margin maintenance is actually at 25%, and I have a buffer of about $25,000 of margin that I could still use. So I'm really way away from any type of danger of getting any type of margin call. People say, why not just throw your money in QQQ or something like that? Just let it grow. Well, I'm using the margin. I like to cover calls. I like the fact that they're paying a monthly distribution, that money goes straight to the margin, pays down the margin. I don't have to try to time the market and try to sell some shares to pay down the margin. It just kind of happens automatically. Like I said, people say, well, you do better just throwing your money in QQQ and walking away and forgetting about it. So since November 1st, 2024, that's when I started this. It's been almost a year now. So this is the overall return since November 1st, 2024. CQQQ is actually at almost 21%, and it's beaten out all these others. The way I'm using the margin and paying down the margin and doing what I'm doing, my account is up 27.72%. So beating the QQQ by 7%. So you see overall each fund how it's doing since last November. Just see how they would have did since November 1st. I threw them in here. And the surprising one is QQQI. It's actually doing the best of the cover call funds that I'm holding since last November. It's at 18.25%, almost as much as QQQ. And this has become my favorite, with SPYI being my second favorite. And this is my chart where I predicted how things would go. And we are sitting down here middle of October. This blue line indicates the 1-year anniversary. So in 2 weeks, this will have been going for 1 year. And the green is the end of the calendar year. So anyhow, I'm actually sitting at 89,406, and I had predicted or projected or hoped that I would have been at 102 at this point. I'm up 27.72% for the year, or since I began this project, and I predicted I would have been up 46%. I calculated that I'd be using about 75% of my equity in margin. So this number here, 75% of this number over here. In reality, I am using 86% of my equity. I'd like to get that closer to 75% over time, but I'll keep working on that. If you look at how much margin I had predicted to be using about this time, it's 76,744, and that's what I'm using about right here. So even though this is out of whack a little bit, I'm using about as much margin as I had predicted. So that'll go up here in the next couple weeks because I'll be adding another probably $2,500 to $5,000 worth of shares, depending on what the prices are. And like in general, I'm going to try to keep that about at 75% of my equity. And the title of this is comparing these ETFs to the rental house. So we sold the rental house, but if we would have kept it, we probably would have been collecting $700 a month in rent for this entire year. I was getting $650 when we sold it, but I would have raised the rent. And actually, this house probably should be renting for $850 to $900 a month, maybe closer to $1,000 here soon. Real estate is appreciating pretty good. My insurance was $80 a month. My taxes were $200 a month. So I didn't have any debt on the house. The balance of the cash would be right here at about $5,000. I calculated the equity would grow at $233 per month. That's 4% per year. So the equity would have grown to $72,000 about this time. So the equity and the cash would have been $77,836. I'm not throwing in any maintenance costs or anything like that at this point. At the end of the year, I'll calculate what I might have spent for maintenance. I'll take the average over the past couple of years of this house and put that in there to get more of a realistic look at how things would have been. So anyhow, the house sitting at 77,836. The ETF is sitting at 89,406. So year to date, the house would be behind the ETF by $11,570. Overall, it's not exactly where I calculated it would be, but I'm still quite happy compared to the market in general being up about 18 to 20%. That's QQQ, and my experiment is up over 27%. So just remember, this is not financial advice at all. It's just me doing an experiment, seeing how things are going. So we will see you next week.